Well, I think what we're seeing now is Israel trying to press its military advantage in this scoped out way, limited incursions, meaning engaging Hezbollah infrastructure, Hezbollah firing positions, and any forces that are in the area in order to secure that part across the border. I think what we have seen from Iran is so far a reluctance to engage in any activity that could be seen as escalatory, and for Iran, Hezbollah has always been an actor that has been valued quite a bit by the leadership in Iran, and I think we see that balance shift at the moment.
Absolutely. As you point out here, Hezbollah wasn't just any proxy of Iran. It was its main deterrent when it came to any sort of attacks coming from Israel on its nuclear arsenal. I talked about the oil price before, and I just want to pick your brain here. I know you're not an oil analyst, but currently we're seeing no geopolitical risk premium in the price of oil whatsoever. I mean, should there be one in there? Is there still the fear and the real risk of a bigger conflict in the region?
Well, I think this has actually been surprising over the last couple of months, how little this risk of escalation has been priced in. And I think I would say for now, Israel is feeling that it has the backing of the U.S. where it counts, and it is willing to engage in at least certain degrees of escalation. So I would say for the time being there is certainly a remaining risk there that we could see a further expansion of this conflict.
Bastian, let's move on to the next conflict, Ukraine. Obviously, there is a lot of risk stemming from the outcome of the U.S. elections. Trump, when he met Mr. Zelensky last week, he said, look, I can end this conflict within whatever, 24, 48 hours, but obviously this wouldn't be palatable to Ukraine because it have to give up large parts of its country, of its territory. So how does this conflict end, and how does it differ, the outcome of this conflict, depending on the outcome of the U.S. election?
Well, I think at this point, both sides, Russia and Ukraine, feel that they have more to gain from continuing to fight. So I think that is the situation they're in for both sides. I think it will be increasingly challenging to maintain the force structure that they have, to maintain the manpower, to make sure that they have enough equipment going into the front line. So that appetite, I would expect, would wane. And as you said, a lot will depend on the outcome of the U.S. election. I don't have a crystal ball. I can't predict what will happen there, but I think that's something that many around Europe, including the new NATO Secretary General, of course, will spend quite a lot of time on over the next couple of weeks, monitoring that and then being ready to engage as soon as there is a result.
And obviously, there's a big question of funding here. If funding for Ukraine falls off a cliff, coming from the U.S., if Trump comes back into the White House, can Europe pick up the tab?
I think it will be hard for Europe, but not impossible. But it is a decision. It's a question for political leadership, because there's no structural factor that will prevent Europeans from doing this. But Europe has, of course, the problem right now that there are a couple of important countries, including the UK, that have constraints. The fiscal space is actually quite constrained. We have other countries where the government is perhaps not in the strongest of positions. Germany would certainly be one of those. So maintaining that unity and coherence to really make a big European push would be difficult, but I think it would be worth considering, given that Russia's war of aggression against Ukraine should be seen as a core security interest of all European nations.